Here's a sweet little project that you can use up some of your craft supplies with. I started with wooden peg people and used my Dremel for the first time, so don't come at me if I'm not using it correctly. But anyway, drilled some armholes in the peg people, so it has to go all the way through, and you'll see why in just a minute. We're going to put some wire through that, but just be careful when you're using your Dremel. After that, you get that done and kind of wipe off the excess bits. You want to paint your peg person, and you could do it any color that you like. I happen to just grab an off-white color. Most of this is going to be covered up, so don't be too concerned about brush strokes and making it perfect. Next, and sorry, I didn't remember to didn't remember to record this part, but you're just going to glue a little piece of spool on the bottom. You could use anything. I just wanted them to have a little bit more height. Next, grab some of your leftover floral supplies. Most of these are from the dollar store or the clearance bin, and you're going to pull the flowers off and deconstruct them a little bit. This is kind of the fun part. You're just gonna see what colors you like together and totally deconstruct the flower. The way I found it to be most helpful is to take all the plastic bits out and cut the petals apart. Not so much cut them apart that there was just one petal per each. Like, don't cut them. What do I want to say? You want to cut them so that some of the petals are still together, so you're not having to glue so many individual pieces. So I found that if you cut maybe two together at a time, then you could kind of stagger them and layer them as you went. For this particular flower, it had sort of some scraggly bits and some bigger leaves, and I thought the scraggly bits kind of looked a little bit like a petticoat underneath, so I put those underneath and then the larger ones on top. You want to be mindful if your petals are bent out or bent up, and just be consistent with that. I don't think it matters either way, but you might, for each row, you probably want them to be facing the same way, either up or down. I generally tried to keep mine down. So here's some wire. I found this in the floral department, and it's a little bit thicker. You want to make sure you use the right wire cutters when you're cutting this. And I used this as her arms. I liked it because it was black already, so I didn't have to worry about what color it was. And you're just going to put that through the hole that you created in the dowel. If you don't want to drill a hole in the peg person, you don't have to. You could just use pipe cleaners and glue them onto the side. It would probably work just as easily as this, but I wanted to try my Dremel. Okay, so now I have some charms and some little floral butterflies, and I'm going to put those in their hands so that each hand is holding something, a charm on one hand and a butterfly on the other. You could glue the charm onto her hand if you want. I just kind of bent it around to make sure it was there, but then on some of them I actually went back and glued the back of the charm to the petal once I was completely done with the project, just so it would sit in the place that I wanted it to sit correctly. For these butterflies, I pulled the wire out of them and I just put glue on the back and affixed it to her other hand, which was just bent with some wire jewelry plier things. Okay, now I had a little piece of eyelet left over, and I thought, all right, well, she'll have like a little, you want something to cover up the top of their flower petals because it looks a little bit messy. So whether you use ribbon or this was just a little fabric trim that I had left over, so I went ahead and did that. I do think it's easier to put that on before you put the butterfly and the charm on, or whatever you want to have them hold in their hand. For their hat, just pick a smaller flower. I didn't like the way the top looked, so I had a big bin of pony beads, so I used a pony bead to just kind of finish it off. Put some glue inside the flower and put it on her head. I waited to put her hat on before I did her face, just in case I messed up her hat in some way. I just used a Sharpie marker to draw a couple of eyes, and then I had some chalks, and so I picked out a pink chalk, grabbed a little Q-tip, and just gave her a little blush cheek. You could give them a nose and a mouth and whatever you like. I think it would also be cute to use maybe some diamond dots on her eyes. Then to finish her off, I thought that she would look more fairy-like if she had some wings. So I used they're kind of like lamb's ear type leaves that was left over from another floral bunch. Put those on the back, and then voila. So that was the pink one. Now I'm going to show you very, very quickly how I used some tulip petals for the purple one. And so I had two colors of tulip petals. I had blue and I had purple. So I was kind of going for sort of an ombre sort of look as you built up, and you can kind of see. For these, I did, because tulip petals are so big, I did just use one petal at a time to glue on. As you can see, use the wire. For this one, I had some pink raffia, and so I just stretched it out a little bit, wrapped it around her body a few times, then glued it in the back. Sometimes I'll tie it in the back or in the front and use that as a bow. Just whatever I happen to have on hand and how I think it looks cute. So, and use the pony bead on the top of her hat again. And of course, a little charm and a little butterfly. A little coordinating butterfly to go with her hat, and chalk with a little Sharpie on her eyes. So there she is. I think she's absolutely adorable. I think the one on the right looks so Victorian to me, and I just think she's precious with her little ribbon tie around her. I love each one of them. They're each so very different. But then I thought, well, what if I could do to make it fall? And so here's my fall fairy. I had a Dollar Tree stem of leaves, and you can see they're a little bit wrinkled, but so are leaves when they come off the tree. So very same concept, just glued the leaf on like it was petals, and I had a little tiny pumpkin and put those between her hands, and there's my sweet little fall fairy. Hope you enjoy.